Question. Okay, so what else did you learn? What about back there? Anything? What?
In the beginning of your presentation, you had mentioned something, the book can have, ups and downs, but be sure that it has a resolution. And, I never given thought to that in the self-help books, all these ideas, etc. But maybe when you're doing some of that bibliotherapy, that there's a resolution involved so that, that hope factor.
And that's a pretty important thing. If you're using a story starter, very often if you use a story starter, like you're probably all thinking, well, I wonder what happened at the funeral. If you use a traumatic or a very powerful story starter, you make sure you close that session out so that, because that can really cause some major angst for individuals. What else? What else did you learn today? Any other takeaways? Thank you.
I think looking back to the elementary or maybe grade school type books for some of our developmental reading students that are struggling, that might be another option for them.
Yeah, that and also graphic novels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The other thing too, I used to be familiar with Shel Silverstein, and when you mentioned him, I thought, yeah, I have to go back to that.
And what's really cool about Shel Silverstein is the illustrations are very simple. They're black and white. They're very creative, and they capture what they really do match what he's written about or has written about, because he's now not with us anymore. Anything else, guys, over here? You learn anything? She's smiling at me. Don't pick on me again.
I learned a lot. My expectations were low.
Oh, so glad you learned a lot.
Sorry. No, so I didn't realize all the possibilities about working with our librarians and what resources they can be, and integrating, books and stories into the work that I do. So it was very worthwhile. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much for saying that. Books are ubiquitous. They're everywhere. And so, and stories are everywhere. So if we can tap into them, and I think that one thing that we can do with our clients by instilling hope and connecting them with library resources and books, that's one carry through that can be lifelong. It's, not necessarily that they become better readers, though the more they read, the better they become. But the real benefit is they have a resource now that they can connect to everywhere. And they don't even have to go to Barnes & Noble and places and buy stuff. They can just go check them out. So, any other takeaways from today? Tara, do you have anything you learned today?
First of all, I'd just like to say that I really enjoyed getting to spend time with everybody today. Getting to know each other a little bit better, too, is really nice. So that's been wonderful, just pairing together on this grant with Lynn and all of the counseling department. It's been wonderful. But I really like that you guys were able to write down. I wish I had taken a picture of that list that was up there, because I think I ran off to do something else while we were doing that. But that you had listed out the things that, this is what we're looking for. This is what we want. And that's what we want to hear as librarians. We get so excited when you say, this is what I want. We're like, oh, great. Just tell us what you want. We'll get it for you. So that was really nice to be able to see that up there and to see what you're looking for, and for us to say that's what we want you to do. Don't feel bad telling us this is what we need, because we want to get that for you. So that was really nice. Yeah.
This is a very unique thing that you came together as this group to spend an afternoon talking about these topics and how you can interconnect. One of my most rewarding experiences when I was a school counselor was working with the librarians at all the schools I was at, and also teaching my students who were counselors to connect with the librarians in their community, whether they were mental health counselor or they were a school counselor or a college counselor, because the librarians have so much to give them. And also my partnership with my co-researcher. She was a clinical psychologist who went back to school to become a research librarian because she loved books. And so it was our love of books that forged this wonderful project that we had. So the fact that you can come together and do this is really pretty special. It's really neat. So anything over here? Liz, do you have anything to add? Now, you researcher on this area. You good?
I don't have anything to add except for, I like that people are realizing what a resource we are and what we can do and are willing to do. So sometimes I think we get a bad rap. But we're here to help. So
Yes, Troy?
So one takeaway for me is thinking about, how next steps will go, and I think we'll talk about what that would look like. But I think in order, if there's, to keep a long-term healthy partnership going, there's some infrastructure that has to exist in terms of getting the stuff and communicating and describing things we have and going back and forth with that. And so I have ideas, but I think it's really good to have someone who really knows the stuff and gives us that framework and big picture that we share kind of this vision around it. So thank you for that.
No, I'm curious because just in the last few minutes as I'm sitting here thinking, now, have you ever collaborated, say, with literature faculty? Okay, because that to me would be, I think, particularly when you're looking for whether it's, like memoir or you're looking for short stories or a chapter from a book, it seems like, that's a kind of thing. And I know it wasn't a direction we were thinking about or going, but it's something, just in the last few minutes, has been running through my head.
It's a great suggestion. Two people on my website. Mary Graham is a English major, but also she's now a counselor educator supervisor. And Betty Kirby is also an English major, English education. We're inviting several of the faculty from language arts and literature at Central Michigan who are very interested in literature, various genres around, because they know everything too, and they're just amazing. But here's the power of bibliotherapy, and I'll close with that because this is the last, because we're just about out of time. But I'd like to tell you a very powerful story. Mary Graham, her picture of the curly blonde hair up there, is a professor at Seattle University. And she told me I could share this story, so I will share it with you. She did her doctoral research on bibliosupervision, and she did an amazing job on her work. I heard a rumor when I was a faculty member at Oregon State that Mary was thinking of dropping out of the doctoral program because she didn't feel like she belonged. Mary was a first-generation college student, low income, raised in the migrant camps, in the agricultural camps of Oregon, the wine fields. That's where she was raised, and also in the Southwest. And they never had very, very much money. But her mother loved reading. And every town that they went to pick fruit, the mother would drop the children off at the library. And Mary learned how to read, and she became very, very well read because of that. And, of course, her brothers and sisters. So Mary said to me that I don't belong here. And I said, you do belong here. You belong here more than many people you know. Because what you can do by continuing your doctoral program will be to model to other students that they too could have a life, no matter where they've come from and how they've been educated. And your love of books is really what got you here. You need to share that story with others. Mary is now tenured. She's an associate professor. She's doing great work, and she goes around the world going to underserved countries to help people through uses of literature. So never underestimate the power of a librarian and a good book, connected with counseling. Thank you for having me today. It was my pleasure.